Hello there, this is John. It's December the 18th and it's getting kind of nippy out here. So I'm thinking, well, it'd be a good time to make a wood stove out of a propane bottle. So, and also I've got some for the Firebox. Okay, well, the first thing we do is we'll cut the welds that's holding that top piece on. I've already cut the welds. Next thing you do is you'll take a grinder. That's how I got this off. Take your grinder and cut a line around there, so you end up with that. And then you cut out a couple of holes. Okay, one for the door of the wood stove and one for the ash catcher on the bottom. So that's where we're up to so far. And on this thing here, I've cut a hole in there because that's going to sit inside of the gas bottle. Because if we just had the fire directly in there, I think it would probably burn through the sides. So we have to put something more substantial on the inside, and it would stop people burning their hands if they touch the sides of the wood stove. So today we're going to continue on, see how far we get. Then the next part was to put the firebox inside the gas bottle, weld it in, line it up, and on the back I cut a hole for the chimney. See there? So the exhaust gases can get out. The next part was to put some metal around here so it seals the firebox, and then I took two old drill shanks, put them through there so that it will hold the grate. See, got a grate there, so that's to hold your kindling or whatever you're going to burn in there. So that's that part. On the inside I had to put this metal here as a guide. That's going to guide the ash when it falls down, because I cut out I made an ash pan. Underneath these two pieces of drills, I put two more going that way, and they will support the ash pan, and that goes in there like that, see. So when the ash falls, it will come down onto there and hopefully fall into the ash pan, but leave less mess. So that's the idea on that one. Of course, it's not sealed on the front yet. I'll put some kind of fascia around it so it'll make an airproof front. I cut this door out of the front of the gas bottle there, and then just made some a tin drawer basically. So it just fits in there like that. That fits in there like that. And then the next part will be, well, I've got to put a baffle in so that the air doesn't go straight up the chimney. So I'm not being a wood stove person, I don't know all that. But anyhow, we've got to put a baffle in just below here. I've got to put a piece of plate here, put it in like that, put it at an angle, and underneath that plate, once that's welded in, I'm going to put a secondary burn tube there, and the door here is going to have a window in it, and the window is made from a piece of Pyrex dish that we found at the Goodwill. So that just sits in there like that. See, and that will go in there. So it should look quite good when it's done. That's where I'm up to so far. Hoping you like it. I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of welding, a lot of rods. And this little handle here was just something lying out as a bit of a finial off a light fixture, of course. I couldn't figure out how to get this in because I'd already welded that there. I couldn't figure out how to get the pipe in. I ended up having to cut out a square on the back of the gas bottle, and then I was able to get my grinder into the firebox and grind out a circular hole. And then when that was done, then I ground out a hole on here, put this back on, just tacked it temporarily, and now put some metal on it so it looks good. The grate was just made with some strips of metal welded together. Of course I had to cut them to size and cut them to thickness, but it works, and I'm assuming that's going to all hold once there's a fire in there. The next thing was to get a piece of metal. Well, I had two pieces, I had to weld them together, draw a circle, and then weld it onto the firebox all the way around. And then between here and the firebox, I'm going to put a piece of this metal in there I've already cut. So this is where we're up to so far. Also, I've put a secondary heat pipe in. This one here, and then this one, this copper one, is also a secondary heat pipe with little holes in it. So when the fresh air comes in and the fire's on, it will create green flames. So that should be interesting. I've got this copper tube in here, it looks like maybe 3/8 or 1/2 inch. And I'm going to use that to do a surround on the door, which I've started. And that involves taking a piece of this tube and then cutting it lengthways with a hacksaw, which can be a bit of a hassle, but it's worth it. Then once you do that, you open it up with your channel locks, and you just put your channel locks in, just open it up so that it's flat. Once you get it flat, you can take a hammer and once it's opened up, then you take a hammer and beat it flat. And for some reason I smell oil. I wonder if they put oil in this pipe at some point. It looked like it was never used, but maybe they used that to stop it corroding or something. Once you get your pipe like this, you just, excuse me, just take it, just beat it like that. Like that. So eventually it will be that way. And then just take a file that side, file that side. The ones that I've already put on the door, this is the door of course, I had to cut them down slightly because when I hacksawed it, it came out a bit curved. Just bad hacksawing, I guess. And then I've just used Tech screws to adhere the copper to the metal plate on here. I'll take it off and that's what you end up with from a piece of tubular pipe. I'm sure it came like this originally and a machine made it tubular, so we're reverting it back to its original shape. Alright, so what I'm doing now is I'm going to file these edges, make sure they're nice and straight. This one is. And the next thing you do is just clamp this onto here. And then I think I'm going to cut out at the diagonal so it looks good. So you're not going with too much squareness. Go diagonal there and just put that on and then Tech screw it in place. As it's a bit inclement outside, I think it's going to get dark early. It's only like January 4th, I think. So what I'm going to do is take the advantage of the light and I'm going to weld this rim onto there and onto here. I have to do tack welds because if I do it long, it'll just burn a hole in the side of the gas bottle. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm making the hinges for the door here. So one of these will fit like that and one will fit on the bottom. And that's these two. Now I'm in the process of cutting out the other part of the hinge which will actually fit onto the wood stove. So I'll just taking a little bit of sawn. Luckily I had a new blade. It makes all the difference. Makes all the difference when you try to get this done. You know, it really speeds up the process, that's for sure. It's just like cutting wood. It's like cutting wood, man. This saw blade is fantastic. The door is in position, opens and closes quite well. So I'm really happy with that. So I've put some copper strip round the outside of the door frame here. I welded the hinges on, of course. And now I'm starting to do a bit decoration. Put little stars on here. I'm going to do a constellation theme. And what I'm using is this, just a regular chisel. You know, you just bang, 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 hit it a bit. That way, just make a star shape. Then when that's done, in the center of the star shape, just take your dot punch and hit it. And you end up with a star or a flower, depends on your point of view. So I've got a lot of these old wood drills here, spade bits. Now then, I've used them over the years and I've accumulated a lot of them after they've got used and destroyed and blunted and resharpened and blunted. So I want to put a load of these together and make a stand for the wood stove so you don't have to bend down to put your wood in the wood stove. Check it out. I'm not having too much success in sticking things to attach to those drill shanks. I just tried a hacksaw, so I'm going to come up with a different idea, which is to cut this piece of sheet steel that I know is steel, and we'll use that as like a barrel hoop, basically is what it is, a barrel hoop. And after 2 grinding wheels, you'll end up with something like this. And with 2 half circles, basically. I'm going to weld them together and then slide them down over that, and this is going to make the stand for the wood stove, hopefully. So this is the ash tray that sits in the bottom of the wood stove. So on here I've drilled 1, 2, 3 holes, and I've put a little slider. So now you can adjust the amount of air that goes into the firebox. See? Just push it that way, open. Push it that way, it's closed. Right? So, I hope that works. And on this piece of flat steel here, I've just cut out some arcs to make the next circle around that. Hang on, how are you going to go in? There you go. Make a circle around this wood stove support. I've got 1 circle already made, now I'm going to make the next one. Well, it's doing good now. It's doing well. Or it's doing weld. So I'm going to take these screws out here, see how that works or not. There we go. Right, now I'll probably end up having to flatten this out because I'm going to use this as the anvil. So when I'm using the chisel or whatever I use, it'll have a tendency to flatten it out, but that's okay, it'll curve back in easily. Let's try it. Right now. Next, I'm going to give this a rub down with some wire wool and take off the felt tip marker, and then I'm going to heat it up and put some patina on it. See that? See what it's doing? Well, the colours it's changing. The same thing there. It's kind of like a pattern, you know. Yeah, it is a pattern. It's a patina, and you can do anything. You can do all kinds of shapes and patterns. Well, there you go. Never done that before, but it looks quite nice. Can you see it? There you go. Now we're going to do that same thing to the rest of the firebox. See, that'll fit on there actually the other way around. Let's see, it just brightens it up, that's all. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the door here. So it'll be more of the same chiseling and dot punching. So much fun. It is fun actually. And this time we're going to use a heavier hammer to make larger indentations. Okay, that's the top. That's good. I'm doing a different design on it. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? It looks, yeah, primitive keyboard. It isn't good. Anyhow, I'm going to do the same on the bottom, and I'll get right back. Now I'm making clamps. So we're going to put the fireproof rope around the border of this glass here, and then I'm going to put another piece of fireproof rope around the door to seal it off, and we'll need little clamps to hold it in place. So what I'm doing now is I'm cutting, I'm drilling holes in these little clamps. I'll clean them all up. And I'm going to cut one side of the clamp into kind of like a shape of a, almost like a point, so it won't interfere with the sealing of the door. So this needs to be as thin as possible so that the rope just closes around it and seals the door. I've got about 10 of these to do. Okay. Multiply by 10. Anyhow, just to reiterate, these clamps are for the door here, of course. One side needs to be wide because it's actually going to be pressing down on the actual glass, so you need a larger surface area. And the other side is just going to hold the rope in place, and that just needs to be very thin. The next part is just to temporarily put a screw through there. So through this bracket to hold the rope down. It's all holding down here. And in this one I've put a pop rivet. The rivet gun, that's holding really good. So everything's going to be replaced by this little rivet. So it's coming together. I'm over the moon. I wasn't sure it was going to fit, but it did. Well, this is the door for the wood stove with the Pyrex dish in it and the rope. I've had to double layer of rope, and all these little clasps are holding it in, and they're all pop riveted. Great idea. I love pop rivets. Were a great idea. Steel, of course. Aluminum probably melt, maybe. I don't know. Anyhow, next thing to do is wait for the paint to dry over on the wood stove there and turn back the right way up, and I'll put the door on tomorrow and maybe test it out. Well, for a little fire in the wood stove here, just see how it burns, see what the smoke situation is, and yes, there is smoke coming out the door a bit, so I can put an extra piece of rope in there, not a big deal, but it seems to be burning quite well, and I'd like to get a chimney for it. It appears to be burning really clean, because as you look up onto the stovepipe, you're not seeing like billows of smoke come out. I'm not seeing hardly any smoke come out at all. I've got these secondary air pipes turned on so to burn off any smoke. Added an extension to the secondary air pipe. I want to see if it's working or not. Okay, let's just put that near there. Oh yeah, it's sucking in there. Can you see that? Just put it near. Yep, that's sucking in good there. And what about this fellow here? Is this one working? Yep. Just hang in, and then sucking in there. Yeah, that's great. One way to tell if it's working, I'm sure is. Knee black smoke, so that's a good sign as well. How are you burning, little wood stove? How are you burning? Anyhow, that was the wood stove project. I hope you enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed making this, and hopefully we'll put it in the house. I'm doing a test on it first, make sure that it's safe. Alright, bye bye.